Hello there, good evening. Welcome to the Boys on the Bus podcast for your weekly fixture of Tic Talking. I am your host Conor, and I am joined tonight by Liam, the Punk Duck Warlord. And I know you can't see him, but right there in that wee black square right there, oh there he is Regan Stevenson. You can join me tonight for the show. We've got a lot to talk about. Talking about the wrapping up of the pre-season, about upcoming starting of the league season, about transfers or lack thereof, as we've come so accustomed to over this window. But before we get stuck into all that, juicy goss, please don't forget, hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button. You can share this podcast with your friends and family. So it's the share button down below if you want to share it with people who are of a like mind who want to join in on watching a Celtic podcast. We are nearing the 500 subscriber mark. So if you guys are not subscribed yet, please do. Don't forget to like and comment as well. All your thoughts and feelings are appreciated, and we'll touch on them, as we keep going. But gentlemen, how are we doing tonight? How's everybody feeling?
I'm good, Conor. I'm
doing well, Conor.
That's good to hear. So, we'll kind of start with the wrapping up of the pre-season. So, Celtic finish off the pre-season, securing the third place in the Como Cup with a win over Al Ali on penalties. Did any of you get a chance to actually watch the match, or were you not interested?
I watched. Go ahead.
I'm saying I watched little bits and bobs, but I'm not a big one for pre-season, Conor, to be honest with you.
I can understand that pre-season is a little bit of a drag, especially when it's coupled with not much positive news to go on, and obviously the scudding against Ajax maybe took a wind out of the sails of a lot of people wanting to continue watching the final pre-season game. But Liam, did you get a chance to watch it?
I was looking forward to the game. I like a Saturday morning game here in Vancouver. It was on at a decent time for me as well. So I watched it, and like everything aside what's going on, I was happy with some of the things I've seen. I like the fact that we had a real physical test, and that was good. One of the things I really liked to see was the fact that at one point you seen Trusty battling, I think it was with Ivan Toney. And I know it was a bit slappy and all that sort of stuff, but just to see that boy show a bit of aggression, a bit of physicality, and I think that ended up helping him in his game. As I said before, sometimes you get players that have to be a wee bit angry when they play, and I think Trusty might have to be one of the guys. And who knows, he was having a baby and all that stuff last year, and you're doing up the room and all that, and you're feeling great about life and all that. But I think he's got to play a wee bit more angry. And when you see that, well, he got a goal, and I thought he was one of their better players, and so I was happy about seeing that. And then the penalties, it's funny, my stream cut out just as the new boy was ready, Yamada was ready to take his kick. So I had to watch it later, and then I just shook my head and I seen that one thing that somebody's got to pull him aside. No more stutter steps. You nearly missed that, son. And, that could have been a different result. We might have been feeling entirely different. But, let's cut out these stutter step penalties. They very rarely go in, and they just give the keeper a much better chance.
Yeah. So the game, obviously, I watched it. I'd say it was kind of a tale of two halves. That old adage. But the first half was quite sluggish. Didn't look too great. I thought we were quite poor. But obviously in the second half, much better. A lot of physicality, a lot of battling. Getting the goals that we needed. And yeah, it was something for me which was very impressive. It's kind of been like that, I think, all pre-season. Obviously it comes with the heavy rotation. In each half, with taking players off, taking players on. You do see an uptick in performance either in the first or in the second half, depending on who's starting and who's coming on. But I think it's fair to say that after the game, all the buzz after has been about one Shin Yamada, who came on and impressed. Now, just on my eye, he came on. He has good hold-up play. He's very strong. He's intelligent with his runs. His runs. Kind of playing along the back of the defence. Very, very similar to Kyogo in a way. He also scored a good goal as well, but obviously it was chopped for offside. Not any fault of his own, really. I think it made a really good run. It was a good finish, but Tilio released the ball far too late. And I think the thing that everybody's talking about is just he's absolutely rapid. pace, it frightened, their defenders, like nothing else. It was just running through them, just carving through them, at will. Obviously, he's physical. He looks a lot, bigger and stockier than, say, the average Japanese player that's came in and played with us. He looks like he puts a lot of work in the gym, and his hold-up play is great. I mean, I think his play looks better than even, Adam Ida, who that's maybe his bread and butter, but he looks very much, better than what Adam Ida can do. But Liam, I'll ask you the now, because obviously the talk and rumours of, securing another striker, they have kind of just went completely dead, like stone cold. But would you be comfortable with Celtic going into the season, which is only a matter of days away, with Shin and Ida as the only kind of main striking options, or do we still need reinforcing that department? Because if it was me, I'd be putting Ida third choice. I would, if we're getting another couple of ringers in, I'd put Maeda as the starting striker, Shin as the backup, and I'd bump Ida down to third place, to be totally honest. But how is it you'd feel about that? Like, would you be concerned if that is the mentality and the way that we're going to go about this, or would you be quite happy with what I've just suggested?
Well, Conor, has Ida even scored a goal this pre-season? I don't think he has. I don't know if he has. Maybe somebody in the chat. Oh no, I don't think he scored yet. And if you're looking at just based on merit, honestly, if Ida was any of the young boys coming up that we were auditioning for that role, I would say, no, you got to send him back out. He's not ready yet. I don't know, he doesn't come back. He's not come back like any different than the way he ended the season. And it doesn't look like there's been like we've tried to develop. I think Johnny Kenny's come back looking a lot fitter and a much bigger specimen. The Japanese boy, he seems to be bulking up in that as well and looking really good. And I know looks can be deceiving and all that. John Hartson wasn't exactly a specimen and stuff like that, but he doesn't need John Hartson. And I think right now, we are on a very dangerous path right now, just because he's got the price tag associated with him. We're going to try and put a square peg into a round hole again. And if it's not working, then I think we just got to cut our losses and get rid of them. We shouldn't be getting these guys as projects where they get 3-4 years to prove themselves. No, that money, you'll still be able to get good value for them right now if we sell them. But we're not signing anybody else. And the more dangerous thing I think we're playing with right now is with Maeda. Maeda's contract situations, I'll probably get to that later, Conor, but he's not re-signed a contract, and he might be, if another club comes in and says, listen, we see you as our main striker and we value you as our main striker. We're going to build it around so that, you get fed and, and we're going to make sure that you're that first choice in the Japanese national team. He'd probably jump at it at a better league, better pay. And I think a lot of it is because we've stuck him out in the wing again. And I think the nature of the Japanese boys, you don't really know there's anything wrong with them until they're gone. They don't go out and start talking to the press and their agents and all that. They're gone, and then it will start coming out. And I think right now, what I saw in Maeda last year as a striker tells me we don't have a better striker in the club, and I really don't understand. Wingers are a dime a dozen. Well, they should be. There's loads of them out there, and we used to stockpile them for fun. All of a sudden, we've lost wingers or us or whatever the contact we had there. I think that's what we should be looking at. We should be looking at wingers and then looking at Maeda in the middle and see what we go for there, because I think we're doing him a disservice, we're doing the team a disservice, and you're doing the fans. This is supposed to be a sports entertainment. Find Ida a hard watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. Do you know what it is? I think it's a mentality thing with me with Ida. Like, it seems very nonchalant, even in his interviews and that. He sounds like he's half asleep half the time. I don't know what it is, but I'm just. This is a wee bit of a tangent here, but I'm just now rewatching now for, I think it's either the third or the fourth time, the Last Dance documentary on the Chicago Bulls on Netflix, in their imperious run during the 90s, and at different sports, right? But when you listen to guys like Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, the head coach Phil Jackson, the thing that stays consistent in sport, you could be playing football, basketball, golf, or fucking pickleball. The thing that stays consistent is mentality. mentality, focus, effort, they all go miles in terms of the sport and helping the team come together. To me, Admida doesn't have that. They're, for a big boy, a big strong boy, he loses the ball a lot. He gets bullied off the ball a lot. His hold up play isn't as good. He seems like he couldn't shoot fish in a barrel now. It's very very bizarre to me, and it is worrying because we are at some point in the season, right? You can call it now. At some point in the season, we're going to need to rely on him, whether it's a Champions League game, whether it's a league game, whether it's a semi-final in the Scottish Cup or something like that. There's going to be a point where we are going to have to rely on him to deliver the goods. And right now, for me, Liam, I am not confident at all that he could do that.
I mean, I take Giamakis back at this stage, Conor. I think he was a much better player that we let go. And the other thing that Ida don't like about him, I don't see any physicality in the air. I thought we were going to get a target man that would battle in the air and that, and he doesn't seem to be the one to sort of get in there or get in those positions as quick as he needs to. Yeah, I said it at the end of last year. I thought he turned a page when he scored that goal against Young Boys, but see if you go back and you look at that goal bounced off the goalie and then another player's knee and then Ida's knee before it went into the goal. It wasn't exactly like a Larsson-esque finish. But I thought with his intensity, the way he celebrated it. Okay, I thought we turned a corner here, but that bit you point out about body language and like looking very lackadaisical and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that tells you a lot. That's why there's body language experts out there, that look and you can just sort of see, and it's like, yeah, I don't get it. I remember playing away against away guys and stuff like that, and it's like, you could just tell when somebody's not got the same commitment as you, they just can't be arsed, and I think it is. It's just a trait, and they're not all 100 out of 100, and I think what's different with Ida and the players Ange was bringing in, Ange seemed to have a lot more. There was a lot more character about the players Ange brought in. If you look at guys like Matt O'Reilly, Jota, and all that, they all seem to be on some sort of personal, motivational, and programs to develop themselves overall, not just as a football player, but mentally, physically, and football.
Yeah, I mean, even players like Tom Rogic, who never really took into seeing the media, was kind of a chilled out guy, fabulous player. But you remember when I think it was getting quite tight in the title race, I think maybe just beat Rangers, he came out and said, he goes, you have to get used to being the top of the pile because we've been at the top of it for so long and you want to continue that. To me, Adam Ida, like Sonny Boy put in, he's come up right there, you need to have heart to play for Celtic, and like right now, Adam Ida's like the Celtic version of the fucking Grinch. We need to grow another 3 sizes, and before he becomes the player that he needs to be. Like at this moment in time, I'm sorry, but he does not deserve to wear the club crest on his chest. He doesn't deserve to pull on the jersey. His lack of effort and his lack of goals and the lack of mentality, to me, is quite stark. And to me, we had our pants majorly pulled down in front of the world in football for the price we paid for him as well, mainly due to Celtic's fucking antics. Lowball, and again, I think we only wanted about maybe 5 or 6 for him, ended up having to pay 9 because Celtic kept taking the piss again with lowballing offers. Norwich saying, give us an ultimatum, we have to pay it, because granted, at the tail end of that season when he was on loan, he was fabulous, won the Scottish Cup, but he's only had really 1 game where he's really impressed, I think, to me, and that's like Johnny Logue's put in there. The game against Kelly, the title clincher. And to me, like, we need that level of performance from him, like 80, 90% of the time. And right now you're looking at it's maybe like 10% of the time. And Liam, that's just what we don't need that now, especially with going into the season with other clubs massively strengthening. People can talk about Rangers and stuff, right? About the level of players have signed, the fact that they've done shit in pre-season, whatever. We've got other threats on the horizon. It's not just Rangers. You look at teams like Hibs have signed, really, really good players for their level. Hearts have started off to, a good start of the season. Hi, Regan. And, it's other teams are on the horizon. And if they smell a drop of blood on Celtic, they will try and go in for the kill. Because I know we like to, say that we're Celtic, never like we're loved everywhere across the world, blah blah blah. But in this league, right, and it's not just for Rangers, we are hated because we're so successful. Every other team in this league would love nothing more than to stop Celtic's, domination of the league. And if we're not getting the players that are good enough to help us over the line, the other clubs and other teams are going to come in and they're going to try and hurt us. And it is very much a possibility. We've seen it last season a couple of times. We've definitely seen it the season before with how tight the title race was. Fucking Kilmarnock was a massive thorn on our side. We've got 3 teams in the league this season that have got plastic pitches, which we know we are historically terrible on. We've got players who are injury prone to have to play in them. There's a whole myriad of problems that are, creeping up on the horizon. And it's Celtic's job to try and mitigate these and try and get them sorted out. But so far, they're not doing it. So, Regan, I'm going to ask you then now, what is your, because we're just speaking there about Adam Idah now, because like saying, Shin Yamada's came in, he's impressed, he's done well. Adam Idah has not done that. And we're looking at the only viable striking options being a guy who's just came in the door and Adam Idah who ain't performing. Now, if it was up to me, like I was saying to Liam, I'd put Idah as third choice, Maeda starting striker, getting up a couple of wingers in, put Yamada as second. But I don't know, mate. Like, what's your opinion on this situation?
My opinion is that I feel we need 5 players. I can cite them for you, Conor. But I just feel like the club need to back Brendan Rodgers. Because you look at Hearts, you look at Rangers, you look at Hibs, you look at Aberdeen even. They'll be getting way bigger. You look at the great result for Hibs last week in Europe. As much as we don't like it, you look at the result for Rangers last week. You look at Aberdeen have just won the first trophy since 1991. They've won the first Scottish trophy since then. Obviously, they won the League Cup under Derek McInnes, but the last time they won the Scottish trophy. So I'm just Celtic need to back Brendan Rodgers, or Brendan Rodgers seriously could walk. I think it's going to be interesting because I think there possibly could be 4 signings, but I think for Celtic as a club to move forward, we need 5 signings. I know people keep saying Celtic need a winger because we sold Nicholas Tacomo. Well, I'm sorry, but we need 2 because we've also got Jota out until March 2026. So it's totally unacceptable for us to say we just need 1 winger because we clearly don't. And also, I think even someone like Marco Tilio, that's a guy that was surplus to requirements, and now I'm going along with a season ticket on Sunday, and potentially he could be on the bench. That's a guy that was surplus to requirements under Brendan Rodgers, and you've got people like him that are now in the forefront of Brendan Rodgers' mind because there's no one else there. And Brendan Rodgers has got experience now of knowing, right, that I'm not able to throw my toys at the pram of this board. But see all the Celtic fans that were moaning that Brendan Rodgers left. I mean, I was as much as I was so annoyed in 2018, 2019 when Brendan Rodgers left. I was a realist that Brendan Rodgers wanted to explore England because clearly the board didn't back him. They wanted to bring in Malumbu, who was a 36-year-old from Kilmarnock. They wanted to bring him in, and they wanted to bring in people like Swed, who Brendan Rodgers didn't want. And it's okay saying, well, Brendan's track record for signings is not the best. Okay, I can agree with that. But the thing Brendan Rodgers wants to do is Brendan Rodgers wants to take Celtic to a new level. But clearly the board's ambitions are not the same. They can say their ambitions are the same, but clearly they're not. Clearly they just want to stay one step ahead of Rangers and Aberdeen or whatever else. And that shouldn't be the ambition of Celtic. And the most mind-boggling thing for me, I don't know if you guys agree, but I mean, to let Hugo go in January and to still know the replacement, I mean, I'm all for Celtic bringing in players, free agents like we've known for years, and through the Man City group. But to let a player of Kyogo's stature go, who scores in big games against Rangers, big games against Aberdeen, does well for Big Ange Postecoglou, and, and Brendan Rodgers as well, and then to not even bring somebody in to replace him, I just think they're making a rod for their own back. Even the guys who, like me, who go along to every game and are like happy to see Celtic win and don't complain too much because I've won 13 in the last 14 Scottish Premier League titles and we can't really be too entitled. But I'm still looking at it going, surely the board realise that it's not very good optics if you let a one good player like Kyogo go and have still not replaced him in the middle of July. It's not a good look because you've had from possibly August last year. Because from what I heard was that Kyogo wanted to go at that time. So clearly they've known for 12 months on from that Kyogo wanted to go, and they eventually let him go in January. So that they've clearly known for a year, and to still know of a Kyogo replacement for me is bang out order.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. It's it's absolutely disgusting the way that the board have been conducting business. That's a big talking point we'll get on to later and I'll get your opinions on it. But moving on to transfers, also some people in the chat have spoke about it. Celtic, it looks like they made their approach for Man City defender Jamal Simpson-Pusey. He made a loan approach for the 19-year-old centre-back. He was Premier League 2 Player of the Year last year, helping Man City to win another Premier League 2 title. There is no details on whether there's an option to buy, an obligation to buy, but it's believed his value is around £5 to £6 million. And he also played last season. I think he got an actual couple of games in the Champions League itself. Won Player of the Year in Premier League 2. But Liam, why are we now going back to the City Group links rather than just sign a similar level of player, similar stature, similar ability, maybe a bit, more wizened in terms of the experience I've had playing first team football? Why aren't Celtic doing that? Why are they now going back to the City Group links? I mean, look, I know we've had some gems over the years, but the likes of Jeremy Frimpong and stuff, but let's be honest, they're kind of like 1 in a million shots. So I don't understand why now we're going in for the centre back from the City Group when it looks like we're meant to be going to get this highly rated youngster from Red Star Belgrade. And the rumours have all just went like cold and quiet. There's absolutely nothing else coming about that. So what is the answer? Why are we doing this? Why are we not trying to get there and trying to make like a decent approach and actually sign someone permanently?
I guess when you're starved for you're starved, you'll eat anything. And right now, nothing says we are so back in the groove than looking at a Man City youngster who, I think I read, happens to be injured right now.
That's a great point, Liam.
He's injured, so even if we bring him in, he's not getting a pre-season. We got Dane Murray looking good. Now, I don't know how much a difference there is between him and Dane Murray, but I bet you it's not that much. And that shows you where you are. We're just looking to add similar, and we don't even know what Dane Murray's like. I mean, I've seen him play a couple of games. I like the build him, I like his physicality. Thought he's played well in the pre-season. He's been a shining light. But no, I mean, what we're screaming right now, he's no replacement for CCV if he goes down. And neither is an 18-year-old, 19-year-old untested kid for Man City. We're talking about going into the Champions League here. And I don't know if this board, I don't know what they're playing at. There seems to be no communication, and when they do run out of ideas, they go back to the tried and tested. And I think we've done well with Man City players, But my God, show a spark of creativity, board. Show something that you're actually engaged in. You're actually doing something in those periods where you've known all this time to sign players. We should have a list. And honestly, we shouldn't even be talking about this stuff in the pages. It should have been done before pre-season. Watched another podcast.
I think you're.
Almost
I
90% of their stuff done. Sorry, Regan, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think you're spot on. I mean, we probably should have been stuff done because these transfers don't just go on like when between June and August they go on 6 months, 6 to 3 months before the season's finished. People go, right, well, you know that you're not going to be here next season or whatever. And surely that must have been a conversation. And I seen one of the comments saying that we signed either Alameda for £9 million. I would did, but I think we also need to replace that quality that Kyogo brings, because we can't just say, well, we've signed Alameda for £9 million and he's going to play every game. That's not the way it's going to work, especially the way that Alameda had been missing so many chances and pre-season and that. And for me, I think Brendan Rodgers wants someone else to be the number one striker, because if you look at when Adamida was playing okay last season, he's still stuck with Maeda playing up top. And if you look at that chance in the Scottish final against Aberdeen, I don't know if you guys remember, but Maeda was through 1-1 with the Aberdeen shot-stopper with about 10 minutes to go. And I think if that's a proper number 9, he scores that chance.
Aye.
Yeah. It's, I mean, if you're depressed about the transfer news already, then we're going to be moving on to even worse news, Regan. So Celtic have had 3 bids rejected for go-ahead Eagles winger Jacob Broom. He is valued at around £5 to £6 million, and Celtic have had bids of 1.25, 1.5 and £1.7 million rejected, with a new bid of, drumroll please, don't wait in anticipation, £3 million now put on the table. But it looks like Go Ahead Eagles are unwilling to budge on the price at all. Regan, how much of an utter piss take is this? With the fact that the club has well over £70 million in the bank and yet have to continue to lowball. They weren't even upping the bid by £1 million, £2 million. They weren't even doing that. They were upping it by £250,000, £500,000 to try and get this winger in the door. And what is going on here? What is up with the utter disdain that the board is showing the support by continuing to put these low-balling offers in, mate?
Yeah, and I think that's a good point you make, Conor, because I think if you look at Celtic board, for example, Celtic board won't budge if, say, they put a price tag on 25 million for Matt O'Reilly, or they put, say, a 30 million price tag on Tierney or that. But they expect other clubs to do it differently. No, you need to go if you want the player, you need to spend the money. And it's as simple as that. Like, you're not able to say, like, okay, we'll actually sell you Tierney for 25 million because you're not willing to pay 30 million. No, we will want 30 million, so that's what we're going to get. So you can't have it two ways.
Yeah, exactly. And look, Liam, Celtic, if they haven't already, are going to start building a reputation for themselves throughout the footballing world, I think, as a club that no one is going to want to deal with, because they continue to just try and rob teams of, the players that are in demand, good players who want to sell them for good fees. These aren't world-breaking fees. Back in the 2000s, late 90s, under the Fergus McCann, we would spend up to about a quarter to half of our budget, which wasn't even that high. I think back then it was only about £20 million. But we'd use that on about 2 players. We'd sign players for about £8 million, £7 million, £5 million back in the 90s. This year of our Lord 2025, and Celtic continue to just try and shop in these, bargain basement, fields. Expect the club the supporters, to swallow the shit being shoveled to them. And yet, when a player comes along who the support will look at, they'll say, they look like a very good player, could fit into the system very well, could be very good for us. They just turn around and say, nah, we'll put in maybe a wee, £500,000 bid for a player valued at something like £3 or £4 million. To me, Liam, mate, it is absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's scandalous, and it just goes to show you that is another reason why, we should hate the board. There should be protests going on right now, and I'll speak about that later on, because there's a story coming out about a certain group of supporters possibly being banned for the game this weekend, but we'll go on to that later. There should be protests going on already. Those big signs that we had, during, at the end of the COVID season, with the no sign through Peter Lowball's face, Michael Nicholson, these Dermot Desmond, these guys, they should have been getting put up already. They should be getting put in every single social media post that Celtic put up. And I'm not saying, the supporters need to do more, because we do more than our fucking fair share of pumping money into the club year upon year upon year. People who can't even afford it are putting money into the club, month upon month, buying tickets, buying fucking overpriced food, £4 a fucking pie, for God's sake. For a fucking pie, it's £4 in Celtic Stadium. Do you know what I mean, mate? Like, Liam, this is I'm getting to the absolute, if you can't tell already, the absolute end of my terror with this. Like, it's only going to be a couple more days until my big ball of the heat just explodes.
Well, I'm right behind you, Conor. I mean, yeah, they do take the support for granted here. And it just seems to be rife across it. Everybody knows. The fans that know. And that's the thing. There's the people that are on the podcast, the people that write blogs and all that and talk about and are active on Twitter. Well, you can see that none of this is news. We've been observant. And, and we're the type of fans that like to scrutinise and like to talk about Celtic 7 days a week. The board hate that, because they'd rather we just showed up on the games, paid our money, and then went home. Buy the view, buy the taps, buy that, but don't get involved in any say how the club is to be run, and don't ask for value for money. And value for money, you're talking about entertainment. And this isn't sports entertainment. And if they're not part of this sports entertainment type thing moving forward, Celtic's going to get left behind. And I think that's what other fans are more up in arms about. It's not that somebody's doing something wrong in that. It's the fact that there's no effort to change and to evolve and move forward. And it's very easy to look at the stats, like 13 out of 14 titles. It's look at, trebles. That camouflages over the fact of where we are moving as a world brand. As we see world club competitions and things like that sort of pop up, we'll be farther and farther away from that. Celtic is a global brand, and we need our boardroom to start treating it that way. And that means that you should have more than 3 wingers that are professional football players that can come in and play on your club. You are basically going into a campaign or going into a new season as well, where we are short for requirements. Now, if you were opening a restaurant and you didn't have enough waiters and chefs and things like that, as a general manager, you would have to answer some very hard questions. Why? Why are you not doing it? Why are the ingredients so poor? We've been using filet mignon, and now we're using this chuck steak because you've sold all the filet mignon, but the money you've got, you're replacing it with lesser ingredients, lesser qualities. If we were a restaurant, or God forbid, a soup kitchen, which way we started, we'd be shut down. We'd be shut down because, you know what, we're not running it as serious people. And that board, they live in a bubble. They live in a bubble. They go home in their private cars. They dine at fancy clubs. And the people that are around them are not wanting to rock the boat, because they're all part of the gravy train as well. And I honestly ask myself how much a part of that is Rodgers, because he's implicit. He's had plenty of times to come out. He's left once before, they called his bluff. And now we're getting to be cryptic clues and that. And I'd feel a lot more about Rodgers as a man if he came out and he said, listen, I've identified this type of player. I'm looking for quality winger. And that quality means, somebody that's played in more than a dozen games in the Champions League, or somebody that's come in that's actually got experience. It's played 4 or 5 years at a top level. No guys that have played a year. No guys that are still youth projects. I mean, we're no project. We're supposed to be an elite brand. Ask Adidas. They seem to think so. But right now we're getting left behind because we're not behaving that way. Brands like Wrexham, Birmingham City, fucking even Norwich taking the piss out of us. We shouldn't be anywhere near the guys. We are Celtic. And we are. I live in Vancouver. We're a worldwide brand. We need to start acting like it.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with that statement, mate. You know, that was fab. But I mean, Regan, what is the answer to this really? Because we can't say, oh yeah, the board need to spend money to do this. They're not going to. They're simply not
They
going
need to,
to.
Conor, to retain the title. They
The
simply
board,
need
the
to.
board, the board, year upon year, continue to take the absolute mickey out the support. They treat you like a bit of shit on your shoe. Peter Lowball, if he came across you and for whatever reason you were going in your chair up the street and the battery catches fire and you were starting to burn, he wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire, mate, to be totally honest. And I'm not meaning that in a crude way, but what I'm telling you right now is that the people that run this club look at us like we're fucking scum. And they don't think, for whatever reason, despite the fact that we put in our hard-earned wages, we're the ones that turn up every week. We're the ones that tune in. We're the ones that pay for fucking BT, Sky, Premier Sports, all the rest of it. All this money getting sucked out the supporters. Kits going for fucking ridiculous amounts of money. There's a thing from last season. It's like the one of the Adidas original like track zippy thing something. It was originally priced at £100, right? Original priced at £100. I seen it in the Adidas shop the other day. It's went down to £30, and that's for Adidas to still make a profit on it, to still make money off of that product, and for the club to make money off that product. So what you're telling us is you're trying to sell us products, trying to sell us stuff, whether it's the gear, whether it's the food, whether it's the players coming in the door, whether it's the brand of football, the way we're going to try and win games. You're trying to give us a substandard product and make us pay top-end prices.
Hey, Conor, right now Vancouver Whitecaps are attached to Thomas Muller.
Yeah,
Thomas Muller for Bayern Munich, right? Now, Vancouver Whitecaps I think we've got less than 30,000 in our stadium. I'm walking distance for that stadium. I'm a 5-minute walk. I couldn't tell you when the Whitecaps are playing. That's how little they are here and how little regarded. I don't think they've got massive budgets and all. I did hear Ryan God was on really good money in that. But for them to even be flirting with a Thomas Muller and stuff like that, and we are looking at these bargain basement signings like we're offering 1.7 to a boy, and I don't know where that Muller, the new boy Brune, where he's coming to.
Plays in the Dutch league with Go Ahead Eagles.
Go Ahead Eagles.
Who I think, did they not win a cup last season?
I don't know.
I can't remember, but I think they maybe won a cup for the first time in a long, long time last season. It was with the whole thing where, you know, teams like Crystal Palace and Newcastle and that, and teams across the world who traditionally haven't won anything in Aberdeen, obviously, haven't won anything in a long time or winning things. I could be totally wrong in that, but he plays for an Eredivisie team, and, you know,
I like the way you said that there, Conor.
Eredivisie. But hey, you know, they're kind of one of the, you know, middle ground teams in a Dutch league. And a Dutch league is fucking miles better than what we play against. Let's be totally frank. Go Ahead Eagles, who aren't the biggest team in the Netherlands by a mile, could come up here and they would absolutely walk it. They would probably beat Celtic to the title, if I'm being totally honest. So for us to try and put in this low ball bid, Regan, for a player, you know, who we clearly want, clearly scouted, clearly looks good, I think it's just more evidence that the board are just absolutely taking us, you know, for a ride.
Yeah, I think it's wrong because I, I think the great thing for Celtic is we've got so much money in the bank, but it's okay having the money in the bank, Conor, but you need to spend it. Like Celtic are still in profit every transfer window, so it's not as if we are saying to ourselves, right, we're actually in trouble here. But and I don't know what you guys think, but I don't buy into this argument, right? Like saying that we should wait and see if we get into the Champions League if we can buy 5 players. We've clearly got the money there to buy 5 players, so why do we need to wait and see if we get in?
It's beggars belief, mate, and you know, like we are run like we are beggars of the football world, yet we are still massively cash rich. Sorry, I mean, Liam's saying they live in a bubble. Well, the support, we all need to come together and take a massive fuck off needle and pop that bubble to
There
shake
you
them out,
go.
to shake them out of this, absolute, miasma that the board seem to go through. You would think that we were ran by fucking potheads with the lackadaisical, lazy, no fucking effort nature that they just put into absolutely single thing that they try and do. The only thing that they ever put fucking effort into doing is when they try and whore Celtic out to be a fucking brand to go and play these competitions abroad that no cunts ever fucking heard of, and play these teams in America to try and drill up the fucking, growing football interest that is in America as well. They're no shy about, taking a step towards trying to shell out players out, beloved players for, the highest bucks that they can get. But when it comes to the support, we're like fucking Oliver Twist having to hand their hands out and beg for more year upon year upon year. It's the same rigmarole, and I'm sick to the back teeth of it. It's gone on way too long, and it needs to stop. But we know for a fact that it won't. As long as these people are in power of the club, it's never going to stop until the day that they fucking die. And I'm not saying that in a bad way that I want them to die, obviously, because they're human beings, even though that Peter Lowball looks like a fucking ghoul. But, the fact is, until these guys shift off this mortal coil, we are going to be ran like this till they're gone. And, we can come on here, complain about it. I'm going to complain more tonight about stuff that's happening as well. It's not going to change, because the mentality has seeped so deep into these guys that they can just get away with whatever they want and they won't get consequences for it, because of the way that we are such a loyal support and keep shelling money to them. They think they can get away with it. But moving on now to the next topic, we have the start of the season, Flag Day, this coming Sunday, a game against Mirren. And it is looking like that the Green Brigade could be banned for Flag Day, if rumours on the huddle board to be believed. There's a rumour flying about now that the Green Brigade are, going to be banned for the waving of Palestinian flags and putting up flares. Mick, who's part of the show, he's quite close with a couple of guys that are in the Green Brigade. They said there's stuff possibly in the works now that they are going to cut out with a message very, very soon, that they are going to ban the Green Brigade for the upcoming match on Flag Day this weekend, Liam. It's deeply disturbing to me that the club will try to silence the support on these issues, on one hand, but on the other hand, they'll praise the Green Brigade, the boys, the support. If you look back on like trophy day displays, even the game, the 3-0 nighttime game against Rangers, when we had the send them back to hell, boys, and the flares and that, the atmosphere was it was palpable. They were all on Twitter fucking after that again, oh, amazing support, Celts, and what a result and all that stuff. It's disgusting to me that they are going to try and silence a massive section of support who turn up week in, week out, whether it's a fucking Scottish Cup game in the piss and rain against like Alloa Athletic, or turn up, big on the Champions League nights against teams like Benfica and PSG and that. What is it they're playing at? I don't understand what's the advantage, and what's the message that they're trying to send, because we are now at a point where the relations between the club and the support, especially club supporters groups, it's now more frayed than ever. And the way that you would get them back on board is by giving them support and letting them come in, putting up their flags, putting up displays. We got two, I think, at times you got banned last season. Couldn't put up a display on Flag Day, couldn't put up a display against the Rangers. And look, I'm not trying to say it with the change of results in any way when we lost. But what I'm saying is when players go out that tunnel and they see the support as a collective making a massive effort to show them support, the hours, the manpower it takes to put into making these tifos and stuff like that is unparamount. And for the board to come in and try and silence a massive part of the support, which a lot of people agree with on their stance on the war between Israel and Palestine, the genocide going over there. To me, mate, Liam, it's fucking disgusting.
Oh, I mean, we've had this stance for a long time, and we know people, Glasgow and Celtic supporters, look on these issues and all that with the times that we played in Israel and, you know, and things like that. I think that's what their kryptonite is. I mean, this board think they're invisible. They want to be a big brand when it's like saying no to Palestine and keeping our ourselves pure and all that, and the dignity and all that surrounds this board. But no, they're up their own arse. It's the one thing that they're frightened about is being embarrassed. And I think that's their kryptonite. That's their vulnerability. They don't want to be embarrassed. Lowell doesn't want to be embarrassed. Nicholson doesn't want to be embarrassed. But I tell you what, I'll be fucking embarrassed if we start a Champions League game with Tillio on the wing. That's embarrassing. Try and explain that as a global brand, that's your priority. Your priority now is let's deal with the fans. You just keep shifting goalposts. Right now, your priority should be getting the best team on the park. Best team on the park. The fans will sort it out themselves. The fans will not be raging at you and screaming at you if you're not hoarding cash, if you're not playing these stupid games that just devalue just the professionalism of it alone, you know, is going in. Like, a lot of us work, a lot of us have our own jobs and companies and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, you give somebody an invoice or a quote for a job and they come back with like 30% of it. It's like, fuck off, I'm not working with you. I'm not working. I don't even want to work with you if that's your attitude, because that just shows you how your set of values are so different than mine. I think this is a chance for guys like the Green Brigade and Boys maybe to sit this out, and the rest of the stadium maybe needs to be a bit more vocal. Make it easy. We don't need the complicated songs and stuff like that. But, you know, if you just orchestrate a well-organised campaign, I don't know, 3 words, where's our money? Where's it gone? We see all this money coming in, the money comes in for the strips, the season tickets, everything around it, everything around the world that puts money into Celtic to do a great job. All right, where is it? Why are you not taking the adequate steps that you have right now to recognise the most important part, the culture around the team? Is it on the park? On the park. So imagine that just screaming around the park for 90 minutes. Where's our money? Where's our money? And just make it easy and then embarrass them, because that would end up in every highlight reel in the world. And it will get people asking, okay, where is the money? What are you doing with it? Why are you not hiring the proper people to execute what needs to be done just to be this global brand?
Yeah, exactly, mate. Couldn't put it better myself. Regan, we are obviously now at a time where the relationship between the support and the board, not even just supporters groups, is further away than it has ever been, I reckon, potentially in the history of the club. Now, to ban a group like the Green Brigade, right, who come in, they sing every week, they sing for 90 minutes, the boys as well, the boys do their part, but also they're stuck up in that big corner there, so it's not as raucous now when it's just them by themselves. I'm not going to lie, mate. See, when the Green Brigade and even the boys aren't there, and, if they're banned or whatever, and we could be winning, we could be doing very well. Celtic Park is a fucking library. It is fucking, the atmosphere is dead. The atmosphere is dead. And anyone says, oh, but that's bullshit. It's fucking true. It is fucking true. Like, genuinely, it is 100% true. Why would you ban a supporters group who turns up, put so much money in the club, they turn up, they do good displays, they've historically, been put at the forefront. Celtic have won awards off the back of the efforts of guys like the Green Brigade for, the best supporters, in European football, stuff like that. And bringing this fucking atmosphere that sometimes teams don't want to come and play against. But now they're turning around and saying, no, fuck you, you're not good enough, because the flares and taking stances on, a horrible thing that I think majority of, people with their heads screwed on in the world have got, a massive problem with. To turn around and just say, nah, fuck you, you're not coming in to me, mate. It's just hypocrisy at the highest order, because they want to profit off of them. They want to big them up when, it suits them. But when it comes down to brass tacks and standing up for marginalised people and people going through hell and for trying to, get messages out there, it's absolutely insane. Because they know, they probably know that at the weekend there, they will be aiming for their fucking heads if the Green Brigade were in, for the absolute, lack of fucking transfer activity. They're afraid of criticism. They're afraid of opinions that don't match their own. So, like, what's your opinion, mate? Because I'm getting up to 90 on this.
Obviously, I think Brendan Rodgers touched on it last season. He needs everybody at the club to be together. I think if the support is fractured, then it's not a good thing. So I just hope. Obviously, it's not been made public yet, so we don't know for certain, Conor. But I just hope that it doesn't affect the atmosphere on the pitch and obviously for the players, because obviously remember last season when Brendan Rodgers had to come out all the time and say, like, let's everybody stick together and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully, any kind of grievances that the two of them have got, they can sort it out, because, like you said, the atmosphere is always very good and stuff like that. So if they can add atmosphere and do what they usually do, then I'm all for it, I'm all for it, Conor. But no, I don't think these two parties are ever going to agree on certain issues.
I know, mate. But, you know, we kind of know that the cloth that the board and that are cut from, you know, they are millionaires, billionaires, people who, you know, look down on the working class. And the irony is we were a team who was founded on the belief to help the poor, help marginalised people. We're set up with a fucking soup kitchen, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? Try to help the poor, hungry Irish immigrants who were coming across to settle in Glasgow and stuff like that. And now these people who run the club want to spit in the face of the ideals that this club was founded on. You know, if Brother Walfred, you know, was alive today, he would take one look at the people running this club and he would say, you're not fit to be in this building, representing these people, running this club, because you do not stand what we stand for. You do not help the supporters. You do not help those in need. You are, you know, as far away as from the ideals and the creed that was set up for this club. And honestly, the sooner we rid of these fucking money grubbing bastards, the better, in my opinion. But I'd like to thank you all for joining us tonight. I think it's been a good show. I want to say thank you to my co-hosts, Liam and Regan. Thank you very much for jumping on. It's been a pleasure. If you guys can obviously hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, hit the, you know, comment as well. You know, the live comments tonight have been great. You know, it's the support so far for the podcast has been nothing short of spectacular. And we appreciate every single one of you guys who comes to tune in. We know that we have to go live sometimes when there's other podcasts that go live, and the fact that you guys still, you know, show up to choose us, you know, it means a hell of a lot. The fact that you're, you know, supporting this new channel as we're just getting on our feet, and the support so far has been nothing short of, you know, absolutely heartwarming. So thank you to each and every one of you who've joined in tonight. Thank you to the boys for joining me. Thank you to all the live commenters as well. But I think it's time to wrap up, gentlemen, before I blow an absolute gasket. And obviously, we'll see you later on the week. There might be a PMP on after the game. There'll more likely be, you know, other shows going on as well. If there's stuff to, you know, to talk about in terms of transfers and that, I'll probably jump on and do a Carmageddon if I can, stuff like that as well. So keep your eyes peeled. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever we do go live and when posts are out. But anyway, guys, see you in the next one.
Cheerio.
Sure.